We are back. Sorry for the lack of commentary there. We were unfortunately having some technical difficulties, which I'm now hearing myself.
Yeah, it's I believe it's coming up through the stream itself. But in the meantime, I'm gonna mute the stream. We'll get it all figured out. Yeah, having some technical difficulties, but for now, let's talk about what we got going here. So this game we've got Bradley University versus University of South Alabama. You know anything about these teams? What are you thinking about these teams?
I know that we have University of South Alabama being being number 4 and number 7 Bradley University being number 7.
Number 4 and number 7. Yeah, it is definitely a gonna be a competitive match. I think it could go completely either way, no problem. Um, and yeah, Zord is from the Alabama team previously as well, so that's gonna be a very interesting. See how the storyline kind of develops from last season to this season too. If we talk about what kind of picks they like to pick, what kind of picks are in the meta right now, for me, I feel like assassin mids are very prevalent right now as kind of the spicy thing. But if we talk about over in ADC, you've got some magical ADCs coming, and you've also got some of the more boxing type physical ADCs like Anhur and Rama, people that like to get in there and fight and clash towards each other. So I'm really interested to see how ADC in particular is going to start clashing over there. But moving over to the solo side, I know Pele has definitely kind of been prevalent in both jungle and mid, but I know she's also been in solo. What other picks do you think are over there in solo right now?
I mean, we saw a set solo pick this weekend in SPL, and they got a pentakill. But
Mhm.
and we've also seen Raijin over there. So really, solo lane is one of those places that we look at, and it might be the Wild West over there, because not only is the solo lane, these gods just having a smack fight over there, it gets to stack some player damage, but also the fact of you really don't know what might get locked in at any point. I mean, you could see a Baron, you could see any set of the warriors over there. Really, the only thing that I think that hasn't been playing too much over in the solo lane is hunters at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising, being that Chernobog is a little bit more on the meta side right now. Previously, I've definitely seen Chernobog in solo more than I'd like to see. I don't think he's that great in solo, but being that he is that meta god right now, I'm very surprised that he doesn't get picked over there, and instead he goes in mid and sometimes ADC. Out of support though, I don't think there's too many spicy picks, unfortunately. I know you can go like more of the physical warrior like Shiva and whatnot as well, but I feel like it's typically going towards the more aggressive supports right now, Guardians wise, like Athena and Ares. Do you know of any other sleeper picks or things that you think might get put into this picks and bans phase?
Look, I'm always about Kefri Bezos. Okay, he gives you everything you want as a support. He allows you to just res everybody. He gives you a nice little ability where you pull him back, you lock him down. He has a root. He got prot shred. I mean, what could go wrong?
Nothing can ever go wrong with Khepri. It is perfect. All right, we're gonna move into picks and bans here. We have South Alabama on the Chaos side, and we have Bradley University on the Order side. So getting started, we've got some Thor and Pele bans coming out.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised to see Pele banned away here. It is that god that goes to every role known to man except for support. I think you could probably get away with it there. I think you really, really could. But along with that, we do have this Thor ban. Thor, that global ultimate does kind of go hard, is a good flex pick as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thor going to both solo and jungle has a lot of potential. I've seen him in support even, don't we talk about sleeper picks and support, don't sleep on Thor. I don't think it's gonna happen, but you never know. And we see Cabrakan getting banned out from Bradley University as well. Seems like they're kind of favoring towards getting the enemies away from their backline. They don't want to have that full in commit, just trap the backline. You've got both Thor walls and Cabrakan walls to keep you stuck. So I'm interested to see if maybe Oleron's getting picked, because those are typically gods that kind of counter the Oleron.
Yeah, I agree. I look at this Cabrakan, and I don't like walls in general, even if it's on my own team. I am an ADC player that will buy the Phantom Shell to get out of my own team's walls, because you know at some point you're gonna get trolled by them, and that's just the way of the road. But we do see this Ganesh band away here. Ganesh has been doing very, very well in the support role as of late. That Dharmic Pillars, this gets a lot of value, kind of holding people down into a zone or zoning them off. And, you know, God forbid you get a CC on top of the Dharmic Pillars that just goes hard. Could just really turn a fight upside down very, very quickly. But then we see this Ares bands come through, and Ares been one of those gods that was on the rise. I feel like he's kind of just now right in that top 5 range for supports a lot of the way. Good beads burn. How do you feel about this Ares ban?
I think the Ares ban is perfectly fine, especially if you just aren't planning on picking CC immune gods. Like, for example, we were talking about the Oleron a little bit. If they do end up picking the Oleron here, Ares really good into Oleron because you just grab him, and if he doesn't have beads, he's dead. Moving forward, any other meta picks do the similar thing. Chernobog is really good at getting out of it, so I don't think that they would be looking to ban that if they were looking for the Chernobog. But regardless, all I see out of these bans so far is get rid of the impactful big alts. Thor, Kabrak, and Ares, all of them have so much value. Same thing with Thanatos, Ganesh, and Pele. As we see the first 2 picks, well, 1 pick into hover, Oleron, I feel like I called it. I don't know. And then we see the Athena getting hovered currently.
And Athena just getting that change to her ultimate to when you're like, hey, I'm going to come dive to you. And it gives you that little bit of movement speed that goes along with that damage coming through, along with the prots. It just got a lot of value with that ultimate. And, you know, Oleron, the best team fight ultimate in the game. You just throw up the rectangle and call it a day.
Yeah, Oleron putting up the slow field, making anybody have a really hard time. If they're running at you, they are stuck in place and they can't really continue to do that. If you want to chase somebody down, if you want to zone off an objective, it is just one of the best ults in the entire game. It is insane how good it can do. And we see Chernobog and Athena locked in on the side of South Alabama. Athena, really, really good global presence, but also Chernobog has some great global presence as well. So I feel like they're going to be playing probably around mid to solo side of the map here.
Yeah, Chernobog probably one of the best physical hunters in the game right now, between the slow in his ability and just the slow in his ult that affects everybody in a team fight, can just go really, really hard to set up, or just the chase down that it can give you goes a long way. Now we see a Set and Geb locked in. And, you know, Geb's one of those picks that if in a crit meta, which I don't want to say we're in a crit meta because it's not crit every game like it used to be, but definitely sets up some good anti-damage for your team. Also just gives you that nice CC immunity with the shields. Gonna feel pretty good there. In this set, I mean, great flex pick here. I want to think it's gonna go jungle, but I might be looking more to the solo side, and that dive could be dangerous with the Oleron.
I think the set's gonna go mid personally. Oleron with a set mid and a Geb protecting your Oleron in the backline, you are looking to drive the fight forward. It is a very aggressive but also safe team comp. If the set goes in, you can either shield the set as Geb, or you can stay back and shield the Oleron if they try to counter initiate onto the Oleron instead. So either way, it's just kind of this driving force, and quite literally feels like you're running over people with a rock. As we see Janus getting picked from South Alabama, and King Arthur getting banned as well.
Kind of surprising seeing King Arthur banned here. I mean, there was some buffs to Ardia recently. Do I think that makes her really, really good? No. Do I think she's better? Absolutely. And that's a god that you could play into that fairly well. And Ardio could go solo. I'm just throwing that out there into the void. I've seen it recently. I am curious about this Janus pick, though. I mean, we see Janus along with this Athena, and that lets me know you're looking to dive. I mean, you're looking to just really slam down onto some targets, into some team fights. And that could get really interesting really fast. The round out the bands here is going to be Sasano, Kali, and Sung Wukong. Are you surprised to see Sung Wukong make it that far into the picks and blends and just a draft in general?
I am not surprised, personally. I feel like he's a really good slot to pick here, like in 4th and 5th parts. I think you could have picked it over the Geb and picked Geb later if you wanted to as well, but perhaps they knew that Geb is kind of a primary pick for them and they didn't want to risk it. and especially with the style that they're going for. But Wukong getting banned in the second phase isn't necessarily that big of a surprise to me because of how flexible their solo lane picks still are, and not to mention you can flex the set still into solo if you end up deciding to go that route. So you keep those options open, you can mold your team comp around whatever they end up banning and picking, and that way you can still make it be whatever you need it to be at given any time.
Bastet is the chosen pick here over the Hunbats. And I do like Bastet, but do you think that CC just burning beads would have went a long way here with an Oleron your comp? Because I kind of do. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, man, if you have beads burn and then you just catch him in the Oleron ult afterwards, that kind of goes crazy. I do like this Zhonghui pickup that is leaning more towards that set mid if it's going to be Zhonghui solo.
You know, I was, in a general sense, in a vacuum, if you looked at purely Bradley's, the order sides, the blue teams, picks, I would have said Hunbats goes way harder there. However, if we look at it in terms of South Alabama's team and playing into them and what their picks are, I think Bastet actually goes even harder than Hunbats would, specifically because South Alabama has a lot of global presence and a lot of in and out potential. They can get into places that you don't expect them to, so it makes getting like a 3 to 4 man Hunbats ult that much harder to achieve when they're spread out all over the place and can engage and disengage throughout any wall. It is hard to get a good value Hunbats ult when they are just never fully grouped.
Agreed. And I mean, I'm looking at these two comps. I see, you know, I agree. I love the Bastet pickup here. It's obviously this gets rounded out with a Camazotz, and I think a Hunbats would have been kind of sad at that point because what's the Camazotz going to do? Go up in the air and just avoid your whole ultimate, and then dive you and possibly kill you because that's what Camazotz does. But looking at these two team comps between Bradley and South Alabama, is there one you're liking over the other heading into game number one?
I'm gonna have some bias here. I highly dislike Chernobog both playing and as a character, so I am already not favoring that side despite how good it may be. And Set is my main. He is my favorite god in the entire game. I will root for him all day and night, so I have to go with Bradley. Just those two things combined. The rest of the team comps don't matter. You got Set in one team, Cherno on the other. To me, that's all I need to know.
You know, Saffron, I didn't know we could be best friends at this moment because I'm also a Set believer, and that is one of my favorite gods in the game to play. He is
Most
just
definitely.
fun.
He is just so much fun. You've got so much synergy all over the place, and you can do so many different things that you want. It is just a blast to play, and it is super effective. And I love how every single game that you play him, you can play him in a completely different way, and that is perfectly fine.
And I think what's good about Bradley's team comp around him is there's this dive that Set needs. Set has a really, really hard time when he is the like soul diver. But now you have this kind of like not just a dive comp, but you kind of have a pick comp when you have this Bastet and Set together. You can single out a target. They can go on separate carries at one time. You have the Oleron ult just to set everything up for you. No pun intended there. And it's gonna be good. Like, it's gonna allow you to do a lot. They are gonna have to watch out for this Athena diving in. They are gonna have to worry about the CC immune ultimates that could come through. And I do have to think, hey, the global pressure from South Alabama could be a problem.
Yeah, that is the one thing I'm going to mention. Putting all of my personal favorites aside, I do slightly favor, in terms of strictly how good and bad a team comp is into each other, South Alabama side just a little bit. Purely because Set and Bastet love to chase people down, and they love to use their mobility to get in there and pick one person, then move on to the next person. South Alabama's side has a lot of ways to create distance and allow you to not get full committed on by the Set or force Bastet to jump back early. It is really going to be difficult, I feel like, for Set and Bastet to actually get in there and do what they want more than like 2 seconds at a time. So that's my main concern when it comes to Bradley's team comp.
Yeah, I really think this is going to be one of those things where you just have to really communicate about relics and ultimates being used. I mean, obviously, Chernobog ult, you're going to know, right? But Athena ult, make sure you're calling in when it's getting used. Giannis ult, Hopefully the whole team sees it. Hopefully he just doesn't, snipe people down. We'll have to see how that ends up going here. But now we're loading into game number 1, and it doesn't look like anything too cheeky from either team here as far as build and god selection for role, which is a big plus.
Yeah, everything seems pretty ordinary. We see Release Cabrakan on the set mid, Bastet going in the jungle. The only thing that I could have seen swapped was Coolio Man and Release Cabrakan swapping the solo and the set and the Zhonghui from solo to mid, depending on what they prefer, but it seems like they've got it the way they want, and that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, all picks look pretty standard, nothing going crazy there.
I do think we have a slight pause here at the beginning of the game. I don't know which team had to pause here. I know there was a pause early on. We will fast forward through that and get it for you as soon as possible. Back to game number 1 here. A couple little technical hiccups here, but that is okay. Sometimes that's the way of Smite, even in the SPL.
Yeah, no, that's going to happen sometimes, technical issues, as well as just pauses in games and stuff. That's going to happen, and not a big deal at all. We will be back any second now. Now, looking at builds, I know we can't see them right now, but I took a mental note right before we left. I did see 2 people on Bradley University forgot to cook. Now, I know, it is hard, there is no reminder, it is a new thing, but you have to remember to cook. Always cook.
Yeah, and
Now,
it was Release Cabrakan and Looking for a Boyfriend that were not cooking.
And I feel like those are 2 really important ones. Your ADC and your mid not having your cook item, especially the ADC. That golden gooseberries, having that stacked online as soon as possible, provides so much pressure in lane. It is nearly mandatory in my opinion. The moment you get golden gooseberries fully built and stacked up, you are able to start clearing the wave without using any abilities whatsoever, which allows you to pressure the enemy without actually having to do much to begin with. Just the sheer presence of having better lane clear than them through strictly autos leaves your abilities up to do whatever you need to at a moment's time. And that allows you to start getting shield buffs, and that allows you to start invading purples, and it's kind of this snowball effect. While I don't think golden gooseberries is going to be the biggest thing in the world, you can still fight back regardless of it, I do think it is a factor.
Oh no, 100% it is. Once that comes online, it gives you that little bit of, AoE factor. I mean, Oleron already has good AoE, but then you're adding the fact of every auto you do just has a nice little chunk of damage at in this little bubble outside of it, and that goes hard. Not only that, people have to remember when you cook these recipes, you get free gold. And free gold is good, last time I checked.
Free gold is always good. Now, I think the best person it's on has got to be Fafnir. Fafnir just loves that free gold, but I think everybody in the entire game would also love that free gold. I mean, Gilgamesh, for example, you get some of those free items, free gold. That passive's amazing. Why do you think people love it so much? Same thing with the cook. You get those stacks online, and next thing you know, you got a little bit of extra gold in your pocket. Not the end of the world. It's about a worth of a single bastion, but it does make a difference. You go back, maybe you couldn't get wards, this time you can, now it saves your life.
I agree. And we see Bountiful Bow picked up a ton here, and I imagine I didn't actually check that before. I think there's almost everybody has it unless you're building gooseberries. Like that cook is especially good with the cooldown reduction. Hopefully we see some other ones during these games. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit more sturdy stew. I've seen a few more of the party punches and things of that nature, durable drumstick. Hopefully we see some more of those.
Yeah, I definitely have seen Party Punch a few times. We see some aggression in mid. One more pause in the beginning. I think this should be the last one, but we will see. So we're going to swap right back to the coming soon screen. But in the meantime, yeah, no, I think Party Punch has definitely been the thing that I've seen the most. Sturdy, I've seen every now and then. Getting those extra protections is really, really nice. But nothing too major. Bow and Gooseberries are definitely the 2 primary ones that I've seen around.
Yeah, I think gooseberries. I don't think you could even think about doing anything else in ADC. I guess you could consider bountiful, like you could, but you're hurting yourself. There's not any ADC that's really super excited about getting extra cooldowns.
No,
But,
not
I mean,
really.
just getting cooldown feels good. I know that's getting nerfed tomorrow. Tomorrow will be 1 second instead of 1.5. I still think Bountiful Boughs kind of takes the top of the charts there, while we wait for the other cooks to get just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think part of one thing that people need to think about is not only the end passive that you get from building it, but it's also how easily stackable and less reliant on certain things to happen that Bountiful Bough and Golden Gooseberries are. They're pretty easy and simple to stack. You don't really have to do anything special. You're kind of already doing that. And I know most of them, their designs were made that way to begin with. However, they just feel the least restrictive, in my opinion, and they kind of just get done before you even think about it. And that helps keep that flow of the game going without having to step away to get something else going, without having to build prophetic stacks. I know prophetic, for example, was being built a lot in the early of season 10, and it kind of fell off a little bit. You'll see it here and there. But there's something to be said about just having something done without you needing to think about it allows you to focus your attention elsewhere.
I agree. I think we have gotten through the pauses here. And if we have, we are going to hop back into the game in just a second. But if not, we are going to throw it to a quick break so Saffron and I can rest our voices for the cast.
Sounds good. We'll be back in just a second.
Welcome back, everybody. Unfortunately, game number one had a stasis mode issue, which has caused us not to be able to run the replay. Um, it's one of those things that happens. I haven't seen it in a few years. But with that, Bradley University did win game number one. We are going to head into game number two, picks and bans, and hopefully not have any more technical hiccups along the way. We do appreciate y'all's patience. And we're going to head into picks and bans right now.
All right,
All right.
looking at picks and
How's it?
bans in game two. If I looked at the screenshot from game number one, again, Bradley did end up winning game number one. The standout performers, from what it seemed, was the Bastet in this set. Both of them seem to have a pretty good KDA, have a lot of gold in their pocket. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see any either takeaway picks. We see the set ban, that was going to be my next thing, or if we see Set and Pele banned. Or not Pele, I'm sorry, Bastet banned. And it looks like we do see at least the Set banned currently.
Yeah, Set just gets banned away almost immediately. And from what I was told, Set was annoying and good game number one. So not too surprised to see that taken away. But on the other side, we do see this Kabrak and Thor banned away yet again.
Yeah, those are following the same ban patterns from Bradley University. The same thing as the previous game. It's not a huge surprise. They won game one. They're probably just wanting to stick to their same game plan, not change too many things up that they can. And South Alabama really making it hard for them to do that, banning out two of the picks from last game, being Set and Geb. Now, I haven't seen a Geb ban in a long time, so I have to think that is a pure respect ban from game number one, and that is just impressive. I don't think Geb is anywhere near meta right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you were asking me, am I going to see a Geb ban tonight before the cast? I'm like, nah. Like, there's no way. But that shield can be annoying. It gives you so much CC immunity and just the extra health pool, right? I mean, it goes hard. And we learned, Bradley hates walls and Ares chains is what I've learned from the bans on that side. We do see this Oleron first picked again here, this time going the side of South Alabama.
Yeah, Oleron had a 100% pick ban rate in the SPL the previous weekend, so it's not a complete surprise that we're seeing it here in Collegiate as well. Oleron providing a ton of lane pressure and utility in the late game team fights, just does a lot of everything really well, as long as he's not left on a complete island. The moment that he's left to his own devices and he's getting free dove without much backup, that's when he starts to struggle. But if you have your team with you, you are in a great spot at any point of the game.
On the opposite side here, Bakasura and Athena. Interesting first pick, Bakasura here. I'm a Bakasura fan. I think he dives Oleron well. He can sometimes struggle in that time dilation, so we'll have to see how that pans out here. But you're not giving a ton away about your comp locking in a Bakasura. And
yeah, that's kind
of... I was saying, the Athena taking away that global pressure from last game, gonna feel pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well with the Bakasura. It seems like they don't want to show their hand too much just yet. It's just a pick that they know they're going to want in the future, but it doesn't allow the enemy team to know what direction they're going to keep going. For example, if they start to go beads burners, Bakasura doesn't really have that same presence as well, so it's not like you're going to start picking a ton of CC immune gods, for example. You could go any direction with it, it doesn't really matter. And we see the Giannis locked in again from South Alabama. Not a complete surprise. It looked pretty decent in game number one, going 10-4, as well as being really good into the Bakasura. If he ever tries to ult you, you can just ult away, and as long as you're hugging the wall while it finishes casting, even if you're in the cripple field, you'll still go through because you're still technically CC immune. If the Bakasura ults the portal before you're able to get in it, then you're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I always worry about minion body blocks because I've seen that happen before, and that is a special talent that no one deserves. This body blocking with the Bakasura minions, but a Terra locked in here, and I like this change here. What I've also, we're going to see a lot of rock gods in these games, I suppose, getting that nice not only healing, but that nice root field that does a little bit of damage has to feel good. And it's going to be a Freya locked in on the other side here for Bradley. How are you feeling about Freya into this current comp?
I think into the Oloran, she actually has one of the better matchups. She can go toe-to-toe with boxing. If Oloran ever tries to ult you, you can go in the air, you can set him up for your team, and he can't really do anything but beads it if you hit that vanish. I think in laning phase, it looks really, really good right now. I worry picking it just a little bit because we don't see the dive from South Alabama just yet. However, I feel like Freya's just in such a good place right now anyways that it's not going to end up mattering in the long run.
I agree. I think that God just, if this game goes late, that she pops off. Like, she just does so much damage. So in a lot of ways, this puts South Alabama kind of on a ticking time bomb of like, we have to deal with the Freya early and often. We want to shut it down, you know, and also we don't want this to go late game because it will be a problem for us. And I think that's something to watch out for here. The rounding out the bans, we're going to see Sasano, Thanatos banned away again, and then Chernobog made his way through the picks and bans to the second phase bans, gets banned away along with Kleena. But we are going to see the Camazotz yet again here for Bradley. And it looks like a Sung Wukong hover, and I'm assuming that will be locked in on the side of South Alabama.
Yeah, the one problem I have currently, and I'm interested to see how they're going to round it out later, but the main problem I have currently with Bradley University right now is they don't have a lot of teamfight potential. They have a lot of solo, I'm doing my own thing hyper carry from almost every single role besides the Athena. But the Athena also helps do that anyways. So I'm curious to see exactly what kind of, if they're going to lean into that even further and just kind of run it down on an individual basis, or if they're going to have some sort of mid that rounds that out and provides that teamfight AoE presence that they're lacking currently. We see a AGLxNECC get picked out of South Alabama. Pretty good here, good into the Bakasura, good into the Camazotz. The one thing I'm curious of is if she's ever going to be able to lock them down truly. Bakasura being able to probably outbox the AGLxNECC if you ever just ult each other in a one-to-one basic attack fight. I think Bakasura wins that. And similarly with Camazotz, I think he can just ult out and at least get to safety. So I'm curious to see if it will actually pan out how South Alabama wants it to, or if it's just going to be used kind of as a utility thing in the long run.
See it being used as utility for sure. I mean, you have two gods with leaps on the other side, but you also have some good knockups on your team that could go a long way here with the Wukong, Oleron, and that's gonna be nice. You know, get those pulls out, feel good about it. Chalk is gonna be the last pick here for Bradley. And we were talking about, you mentioned, hey, there's a lot of single target hyper carry things about this team. I don't know if Chalk rounds it out to give you the great team fight ult that you needed.
No, he's got a team fight ult. It is one of the biggest circles in the entire game. It's good CC, you get the knock up and the silence. However, I just worry because it's not quite the type of big AoE that they need. They need a little bit more lockdown, I feel like. And in the meantime, they just don't really have that outside of the Athena. So going into game number 2, again, Bradley University had won the very first game. Sorry about the stasis mode. Smite do smite things, you know. But going into game 2, how are you feeling about these two team comps going head to head?
I'm looking at South Alabama's team comp, and it is shows more of a team fight presence, and I think that usually wins games right now. Obviously, you could have hyper carries pop off. We've seen that work. We've seen it, been executed perfectly fine, and it works out. I just think it's really, really hard to do in the current state of Smite. So if they're going to team fight around, I think they're going to have to really make sure they're on the side of Bradley, that they're calling their targets, they're getting the picks they want, that this Chalk gets a great ult that pops the silence onto everybody. I mean, they're needing a lot to come out of this Chalk Athena for the rest of the comp to be really successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of it also falls onto the Freya late game. not only keeping herself alive and pushing out a ton of damage, but I feel like if you're able to hit some good whoops in the late game, you are going to be setting the pace of the game, even more so than potentially Athena and Chalk. So I'm really interested to see how the Freya is going to do, but I really like South Alabama's draft going into game number 2. I think it just has a little bit more ease of use and safety potential overall. You're not leaning too hard into just diffing the enemy team and just snowballing the entire game. You can still fight back at any point of the game, and if you get to late game, you've got that team fight presence.
I agree. I'm looking for a lot out of South Alabama this game. The bounce back in game number 2 here has to feel good if it could happen. I think they have the team comp to do it. We're just going to have to wait to see how it plays out in game number 2 here. Do you think we're going to see anything spicy built at any of these teams? We mentioned the Wheelish being possibly more utility. Do you think we get some more bruiserish items on the Wheelish then?
I don't think we're gonna see too much bruiser. At most, you might get like a Magi's type thing, type thing, Magi's type item, to kind of keep you safe and alive during the initial engagements. But I feel like the value of the Awilix is gonna come when the Kamazats and the I'm sorry. The other jump god that I'm blanking on right now,
Bakasura. Yeah.
Bakasura. Thank you so much. Those two, when they're trying to disengage the fight because it wasn't completely going their way, they're gonna want to jump out, and that's when a Wheelix pulls them right back in and says, "No, you cannot leave." I feel like that is where a Wheelix is going to have the most value. So playing for that moment, whether you need the full bruiser build or not for it, I'm not sure how you're really going to go about it, but that counter punch come back here is where that's going to have the most effectiveness, at least from my eyes.
I agree. I believe we're about to transition into game number 2 here. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I'm excited to see here. We are going to see the Wukong this time around was banned away in game number 1. And this is one of those gods that, people have considered the top pick in solo since the changes that he received. I personally think Amaterasu is better. But Sung Wukong into Chalk. Who's winning this matchup?
Chalk's got that early game. He is a really good lane bully, but I have to give it to Wukong just throughout the entire game in general, but also he doesn't lose that hard to Chalk. He can stall out lane unlike other solo laners that Chalk may be better into anyways. So overall, giving it to the Sun Wukong. Now, one thing that I really do love to see already is everybody in this game cooked. I think they realized at some point they didn't have their items, and their team probably reminded them, like, do not forget this time. Because I know my team does that. If somebody forgets the next game, they're like, do not forget. I will do whatever. I will yell at you. You are going to buy those cooks. So I like to see that everybody has it this time around.
Yeah, if you're cooking, that's a W. Unfortunately for Julio, man, over in the soul lane, he had to back up under his tower. Almost fell for the first blood. That was a scary, scary time over there. But one thing we kind of neglected to talk about, Saffron, is where this Camazotz could be going with the Bakasura on the team. It's Camazotz mid.
It is Camazotz mid. Now, that doesn't come to a complete surprise, being that they favored the set mid as well. It seems like they do enjoy some assassins in mid. Knowing Release Cabrakan a little bit, he was a solo laner at some point, so it does fit his playstyle pretty well. I imagine he has good experience on those assassins. So seeing them in mid, not a surprise at all. But the Bakasura going in jungle, same thing there. We were talking about looking for that mid laner with AoE presence, because we were expecting the Camazotz to go solo. But being that it's a Camazotz mid and we see that Chalk solo, I really want to see how that Chalk ult is going to end up performing in the late game instead of a big AoE like Kraken, for example.
Yeah, I think if you could land the Chalk ult in a team fight, I mean, it does go crazy. Oh, Reese Cabrakan gonna fall here early. Jetson Jordan with the first blood on the Wheelish. And we talked about it. Is this Wheelish going to be utility? Is it going to be able to pick up, some kills early? And King Crab also picks up a kill on that Bakasura, trying to get a gank over the dual lane and fell a little bit short. But now the Wheelish is rotating over, and this could be more for South Alabama as the Wheelish walks in behind, gets a great knock up here, and now they're having to retreat. Is the Freya going to get to live to see another day? For now, that will be the case. The Athena doing everything in their capacity to save the life for looking for a boyfriend, and they are not going to find it right right now. They're going to be on the gray screen instead as the Athena has to walk away under their tower.
I don't think that could have gone much better for South Alabama other than getting the Athena as well. But having just the support being the only one alive at the end of that, getting the mid, the jungle, and the ADC down is a huge spike for South Alabama. They are already almost 2,000 gold up in the lead in 3 minutes. They have complete control of the map at this point. They get to walk around and snowball so hard, and it is already just so early on that it is going to be a claw back from Bradley to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, these early gold leads, usually we're talking about, oh, hey, they got first blood, they're farming okay. We're talking like 800 gold, and like that's, really easy to come back from. And not that this 2,000 gold is going to be super crazy hard to come back from, but that's quite a bit of gold early, and that means they get that early power spike online just a little bit faster. They're going to hit level 5 earlier, and now we're seeing an invade here out of South Alabama. They're going to this purple buff. There is the field. They are going to pick up the Athena this time around, and King Crab picks up another, but they're not done. They're looking for more. The Freya will get to live to see another day. They're going to be looking for a back under the tower.
And just like you said, as you were talking about the level 5s having an impact beforehand, the level 5s providing a massive impact right away at the purple buff.
And this could be trouble for looking right now. King Crab looking to see, hey, can I poke out just a smidge of damage? And I would... Oh, okay. I was like, if you see that one getting charged, you better hope it doesn't hit, because it might hit just hard enough. But right now, we have Average Mahone trying to make a rotation in. It's probably going to head to look towards the purple buff side there, but it's already gone. And along with that, Jetson already backed. In the mid lane, though, Release Cabrakan picks up the solo kill onto GeForce, and that seems to be the shining area right now for Bradley, as, that level lead for Release Cabrakan could be good.
Yeah, one thing I'm really worried about for Bradley if I'm in their position is you picked an entire team comp based off of individual plays and making things happen on an individual level. Already you are falling behind, and usually when you're behind you have to start relying with team plays, working together to get kills that you maybe wouldn't be able to otherwise. Their kits don't have that as easily as something like South Alabama would. So the way that they want to play the game is already just not going well for them. Now what I would like to see is some presence put into the solo side, which we do start seeing a little bit from South Alabama, maybe picking and getting the Bradley side's solo lane up a little bit over there just because that side hasn't fallen as deep just yet. Same thing with the jungle, level 6 and level 6. Not too bad there. The Bakasura, I think, is going to be the key point in getting this game back into an equal position.
Shoutouts to Zach there for, using the Athena ult to come over and save the life of your solo laner, making sure that Jetson couldn't pick up yet another kill there on the Awilish, already at 2-0-1 early on. And I think what's interesting here, and I'm curious to see how this keeps going, is GeForce has been very greedy about getting these back camps or any camps that are up around the mid lane while no one's there. And honestly, mid laners that are able to farm that way and not really keep their team behind scale really well. And we're talking about a Giannis that's going to be able to make an impact across the map with, personal dive potential. And we'll just have to see how that goes, but I'm curious to keep an eye on GeForce in the mid lane. Because right now it's been green buff, red buff, back camp, harpy, whatever that can be found. Oh, side camps. I mean, just getting anything they want there. A little bit of a scuffle here in the duo lane. It's going to amount to a lot of nothing, but the junglers are rotating in.
Right, ult forced.
Yep, and there's the ult. Ults being exchanged here right now. King Crab in a little bit of trouble, but they're going to turn it on its head. The snipe comes through. It's a little bit off the mark. Average Mahone will live to see another day, and the fight still goes on, but GeForce has made the rotation in, and looking, could get pulled back in. Great bees to stay alive. Holy smokes, that has to be less than 5 HP on the Freya there. That is insanity. Crazy fight breaks out in duo, and no one falls.
Nobody falls, but they did expend a lot of resources on both sides, but mostly in South Alabama, trying to get the pressure continued. I'd say that is a win overall for Bradley, not losing too much of anything and also expending a lot of South Alabama's resources means that not only are they not falling further behind, but they can start to position in ways, for example, around the Gold Fury or any buff spawning So with for example, Olorun ults and Terra ult being down, they no longer have that free Gold Fury momentum, and Janus can't rotate currently, so that at least bought some time as we see Athena ganking in dual lane.
Yeah, no beads here for King Crab, but is somehow just going to be able to walk away. I wish. Because I'm telling you, if I'm the ADC there, I am definitely getting yanked back in and killed, and that is just a sad, sad time. We have been thrown back over to the desk screen, I think, on accident here. Okay, yeah, we're good. I was like say, I'm not aware if we had a technical difficulty. We do not. Just a slight hiccup there. But right now, I mean, you have 2-0-1 on your ADC, you have 2-0-1 on your jungler, and now the solo Coolio man gets a good ult. There's the silence, waiting for the rotation in from Release Cabrak, and there's the Athena ult to crash down, but it's a 2v3 all of a sudden, and they weren't prepared for that. They will have to back off. Zord able just to walk away there. Jetson drops the blue buff just to make sure it can't get invaded. And I think that's pretty good dubs there for South Alabama. Get some ults out, and really, you didn't expend anything.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the key theme so far. Besides the first 3 to 4 minutes of the game where there was plenty of kills going on, right now both sides are just trying to burn resources to provide momentum for the next play. And that keeps happening over and over again as we see the rotation to catch us for a guard. Her ult is already down. The Janus ult comes out.
It didn't hit. I mean, if it did hit, it didn't finish off the kill, and then your support picks it up, crashing down the rocks on the Freya's head, unfortunately. Looking gets taken out yet again. And this is what I was talking about earlier, though. If you have this Freya on the enemy team, you want to gank there early and often. You want to make it to be as hard as possible to get to the late game Freya.
Yeah, as a Freya, if your ult is down, you are an easy target for a gank. And the best way to get your ult down is to gank to begin with. So you gank to force the ult, you disengage, and you come right back before it's off cooldown, and she is essentially at that point a free kill Zord, looking for a little bit of aggression back in the soul side again. Not going to amount to much just yet. But yeah, forcing the Freya over and over again, keeping her down is a really good way to build not only a avenue into the late game, but also a place to play for objectives. For example, the Gold Fury coming up soon.
Yeah, Gold Fury has been up. I'm really surprised with the amount of just pressure that's been put over in the dual lane. We haven't been able to see something pulled over there, look for a pick and get it pulled. But Stygian Beacon's now charging. I mean, there's 2 minutes till that comes up, and usually that's where we see a nice little team fight. Do you think it's going to be a full 4v4, or do you think we get all 5 members at the Beacon?
It is a hard question to ask. I think we're going to see a full 5v5 over at the Beacon, but will we see a dive?
Crap. Falls down. And this is actually huge for Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley getting that return kill onto the Olorun, giving that Freya back into the game. They are now equal in levels as well. All the ganks that were expended over onto the Freya already, keeping her down, has been alleviated. And now, at this point, they are very close together, as it looks like they might be positioning around Gold Fury.
Yep, I mean, you get that one pick. That was the threat, right? Now is Terra really going to walk in and steal it away? Is the Wheelish going to be able to stop it? The only thing they really need to worry about is this through space and time coming through and taking it away from them, and I'm not so sure G-Force is going to look for it, and if he does, I mean, it's a little bit too late there. Good damage put on to Zach on that Athena, but everybody will just walk away, and that just nullifies all of the lead that South Alabama had worked for that first 11 minutes, and now basically non-existent, even in XP and gold in multiple roles.
Yeah, what was their way into the game to keep pressure up on the side of South Alabama has been completely gotten rid of the moment they got that Olorun kill. They were setting up for that Gold Fury, they were setting up to play around Beacon right after or before, depending on how they wanted to play it. And the fact that they got the pick onto the Olorun opened that door for Bradley instead, so their entire, South Alabama's entire game plan was just gone out the window, and now Bradley has the momentum to keep it going.
I mean, 10 seconds until Beacon spawns. And right now, South Alabama has the better positioning around this Beacon. I mean, it's going to be a late rotation in from Bradley as it spawns. And the Bakasura looks to get active, has to beads, and just gets absolutely shredded and cannot be there for the fight. If a fight does break out here, it's going to be a 5v3 for now. Actually, it's a 5v2. The Freya's not rotating. The Chalk is going to be late if instead goes for back camps. They just give up the beacon entirely. South Alabama get that for free.
I don't necessarily mind that call as we see AGLx pulling the Athena back, getting the kill. Very good knockup out of Jetson Jordan over there. But yeah, no, I feel like giving up the beacon in general was a good play as we see Chalk ulting.
Ooh, Chalk gets a good ult there, but then just eats a ton of damage. You have the Bakasura in the back line now, but I mean, who are you attacking in that situation, though? Wheelish is there, but not getting really any damage put onto them. The Chalk is just standing there, and 3 members of Bradley. Zord says, I am ready to transform. Sorry, the Wukong, my bad. Just standing there, ready to transform, go up in the air, and says, hey, I have 72 transformations. Let's see how it goes. And now they're just shredding down the Camazotz. Zach also in trouble on this Athena. King Crab picks up the solo kill onto the Freya. Looking for is having some trouble over there as the team fight in mid just goes on and on. And I didn't think about this until this very moment and that fight happens as it, takes a break in the action. Saffron, Zord is the Power Rangers, like, mobile, right? And he's playing Wukong. He can transform into many things. I'm just saying. I think it's a good pick by Zord.
Wait. Is that?
Yeah.
That is? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I was completely unaware of that entire thing. That is an interesting statement to me. Yeah, transforming into multiple things. Good to know. Thank you for that heads up. And anyways,
I'm just saying, like, the different animals made the Zord. Whatever, man. You get what I mean.
I do now. I was completely unaware of this fact. Very cool thing. Makes way more sense now as we see Bakasura coming over to the purple buff area looking to steal some farm away. Giannis just defending it best he can. I don't think much is going to happen here necessarily. Just going to walk away. But in the meantime, I am very interested to see what the next big play is going to be. Bradley had the momentum shifting in their way for a good second. We see grouping around middle here first.
Yeah,
not much
a little
happening
bit of 3v3
just yet.
action. The Baka, doing some damage, but you're attacking a Terra that doesn't particularly care about that. And is just going to kind of stare at you and go, okay. And really and truly, I mean, you have Oni Fury coming up soon. You have a Pyro up, and I think you really have to make a play for one of them. Which one you choose, I think that's up to you. But I'm looking at Oni Fury if I'm either of these teams.
I think the ideal play for both teams would be go for Oni Fury. However, if you are able to position around Pyromancer with the enemy team's pants down, I think you can steal that and shift your focus over. Now, we do see South Alabama setting up for Oni Fury to begin with, so I don't think that's going to be the case unless they just trade objectives, which seems to be the plan. Camazotz lurking on the bottom side, seeing if he can maybe go for a steal.
Is he going to get it? South Atlanta get the Gold Fury. Bradley get the Pyromancer. It is a trade. And now you get that little bit of extra pressure in each lane with these Oni Fury minions. I don't think we're going to see too much from those right now. As the fight breaks out mid, a great pull back onto Coolio Man. And now we're talking about maybe an trade here that could go the way of South Alabama. They're putting a lot of pressure into Zach. They're trying to find more damage onto Coolio Man. And that is going to be a wash. Luckily, they don't waste too much for that. They, use an ult. I think that's fine. Both sides lose it, and that's going to be a-okay.
Yeah, the only thing that really happened there, at least in the Oni Fury fight, was Oleron ult was expended, so I was expecting to see some refocus back from Bradley onto the dual lane side while Oleron ult was down, but it looks like both teams just kind of want to start brawling in mid and face-checking the enemy team. I'm going to do more damage than you, or are you going to do more damage than me? And hopefully one team kind of just gets ahead. At least that's the feel that I've got going right now. And when it comes to both teams, a lot of brawling in the mid. I'd like to see some focus back into the side lanes if I'm honestly either one of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, these ADCs, they want to farm. All right, they're going to farm up. ADC at this point is really second solo lane after 5 minutes hits. So they want to farm. They want to hit level 20 as fast as possible. And the way for them to do that is stay in their lane. Make sure you have wards up so you're not getting ganked by the jungler like Bakasura that's getting ready to run down Oleron. And, see how that goes. King Crab seems to be surviving for now and will actually survive that gank. But Average Mahone, keeping that pressure over there is going to be good. Right now, King Crab's been able to hold their own against this Freya. So getting some pressure over there and picking up a kill would be ideal, and a great taunt in with the Athena, but now Kamazot's in the bat out of hell. Looking for that extra damage here. They want to contest this beacon. They're not giving up for free, but a lot of damage put onto the AGLish. The AGLish pulls the Chalk back, and now it's a fight over the beacon. The time dilation's there. This could be huge. King Crab picks up Zac, but Coolio Man returns it by picking up G-Force. And Coolio Man staying on the AGLish here, making sure that Jetson can't get any more out of it. Now, South Alabama confirmed the beacon. Looks like Bradley looking for more here, looking to see, can they pick up a kill out of this? Can they exchange something for their efforts? More than just the 1-for-1. They've lost a beacon. They'd like to get something on the backside of it. And now Average Mahone jumps in. Release Cabrakan is there as well. This Oleron under a lot of pressure here. Oleron is going to fall. King Crab is gone. And now Jetson picks up Average Mahone after the beads and Aegis are used. And we've all been there when the beads Aegis used and then you die and you're like, was it worth relicking? And unfortunately there it may not have been, hoping to walk away as the Freya beads there.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that was a misclick or something of the sorts. I'm hoping, if I'm South Alabama, that you saw that so you can take advantage of that. Freya beads being down is a very, very big deal. Being her only safety at that point is her ult, which even isn't that great. It's just good at stalling. So Freya beads being down, if I'm South Alabama, I'm really hoping I saw that. But even if you didn't, the next fight towards dual lane will go your way, even if you don't know why. Oleron already having a good lead. He did take a little bit of a fall there after that fight. It was a 16-14 lead, and now it is a 16-15 lead. However, Oleron ult can provide a lot of pressure, and the Gold Fury is spawning, so I would like to see a lot of focus back over on that side of the map, being that they have a lot of momentum over there currently.
Now, with it being regular Gold Fury, I think ideally you want Pyro here. You want the bomb, because it's going to give you the objective. Gold, right now, South Alabama has a slight lead. It's not super, detrimental for them to give up Gold Fury and go Pyro. They are positioning towards the Gold Fury side, but I wouldn't be surprised if one team goes Gold, one team goes Pyro, again, with it just being a couple Gold Fury. Two space and time. Firing away. They are looking for the Freya here. Oh no, and it will be a fall down. G-Force picks up the kill, and it's going to be a free Gold Fury for South Alabama, while Bradley picks up a free Pyromancer.
Yet again, another trade of objectives. One thing I was going to say is it makes sense for South Alabama to focus around the duo side, the gold side of the map, being that their lead, one of their leads is on the ADC, and it makes sense for Bradley to also want to play around Pyromancer, being that one of their leads is in the solo lane. So both teams kind of just playing to their advantage there and getting what they both wanted at the end of the day.
This nice little fight under the tower here. Chalk, Coolio Man's like, please, tower, die. Shredding away the damage there. Nice beads by G-Force. And they're going to let the Chalk walk away for now. Actually ends up axing his way back in with the dash there. Release Cabrakan could be in a little bit of trouble. Jumps over the wall, is able to get away. And now you have Average Mahone stepping up here on the Bakasura, looking for a possible target here. Nice taunt and use of the Terra abilities there just to get a nice little heal and lockdown going. They will drop the mid tower as well. Exchange for tier 1s is all we've gotten so far. Average Mahone throws out the all G-Force going through a wall here. But Average Mahone is just shredding him down. Beads Aegis used. And now just has to back away through space and time off the mark. But this could open up a play for South Alabama to that Kamazot's if they know he's there. I don't think they know he is. And they will back off. And look at that. There's the blink in by Release Cabrakan. Isn't able to confirm enough damage. The Oleron splits the marks there between the Chalk and the Freya. He's able to confirm much damage. There's the Chalk ultimate for the second time in this fight. And this time it's going to come up with a reward in a kill. But it's a 2-for-1 trade in South Alabama's favor right now. It could be more as we get the Oleron ult coming through. Average Mahone able to pick up Zord on the backside of this fight. And now G-Force, Crimson looking for a play in the back line, while you have King Crab versus Coolio Man happening in the mid, and looks like Coolio Man may take a fall here. No, the ability's off the mark. He will live to see another day on the Chalk. And that was just a crazy fight. 2 for 3 there. South Alabama comes out with a little bit of a lead. Both teams exchange tier 1 towers. How are you feeling, Saffron?
I'm feeling like this game is nothing but brawl after brawl after brawl, with both teams not even getting much out of it at any point. Both teams fighting for something, and both teams just end up trading Gold Fury and Pyromancer. South Alabama does get the beacon in the first one, but it feels like it's just constant fight, and then, okay, we're both done, we'll both get our farm, and it's over. It doesn't feel like either team is really using any sort of pressure, or is able to at least get any sort of pressure to start looking at invading camps, looking at actually controlling the map. Right now, it just feels like this head-to-head battle that is constantly going on for minutes at a time. So I am really curious to see what's going to start to happen when we start playing around Fire Giant, where once there is no trading objectives. Whoever wins that fight gets the fire, they got the objective. So now that we can start to play around that, who's going to come up top going for the single soul objective instead this time?
And I just was looking at builds here for Bradley. We have a Bewitched Dagger for Coolio Man. I'm assuming that Zach here, Zach Oplips, is going to go for the Relic Dagger upgrade on the other side of this Eldritch Dagger. Do you prefer one or the other? Maybe they both go Bewitched. I don't know.
I will answer that after this, because there is a huge fight about to break out over here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they're going to end up fighting. They are. They're going to chase Zach Alphas here a little bit, but I don't think there's going to be too much to talk about as of right now. They're going to pick up a kill on to Average Mahone, who stepped up, trying to get some early pressure over where the Titans are running it down. But meanwhile, in mid, it's Coolio Man, and it is looking for a boyfriend, running it down the mid lane, picking up a tier 2 tower, now trying to get a Phoenix. And this is the go button for South Alabama. They have decided to pull the Fire Giant here at 24 minutes of the game. You do have Zach Opolips over here, along with Release Kabrak, and there's the time dilation. Can they get the damage off? Can Bradley secure it? No! South Alabama not only secures it, they pick up Zach Opolips on the backside. The beach for Release Kabrak is already used. He might go up into the air with Bat Out of Hell, but it won't matter. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it is a defense of the Phoenix, and it is still standing in the 1v2 between Zord and Looking and Coolio Man as they retreat. Bradley loses the Fire Giant. They lose the fight on the back end of it, and this is bad as it looks like it's going to be a deicide in favor of South Alabama. Well, I guess Average Mahone got to revive before it. My bad.
We'll call it a deicide. It is technically not, but you know what? We're gonna go with the Smite announcer voice and go deicide. You know, we're gonna go with it. So we got two Titans pushing over on the right side of the map. Bacchus, we're gonna have to deal with that, hopefully, so he can start pressuring the Titan over on Solo's side while going for the defense play on the left side. Phoenix. South Alabama pressuring forward onto this tower. They know that this is their opportunity to use their momentum in their favor. Wukong already taking care of the Titans, so they don't even have to worry about that the next time they push left. I can see them just rotating to mid tower and grab that Pyro Bomb. Play for the next fight. They never reset after Fire Giant, so they still are sitting on gold. Dina coming in with a massive taunt there.
Yeah, Crimson pays the price for that, wanting of the mid tier 2 tower. You don't lose a lot there from your Terra not having Fire Giant, but it does, a little feels bad. But now you get to back, and it's a lot of gold in hand.
There is so much gold. They had nearly a 3k gold lead before that Fire Giant fight. Almost none of them have backed, and they are at 7k gold lead at the end of it. So that is probably close to 2 to 3,000 per character in their pocket right now. This reset is going to be absolutely massive for South Alabama. They are in control of the map. Like I was talking about earlier, the fact that they weren't able to just trade objectives at this point, even though they tried to, being the mid-Phoenix, the fact that South Alabama secured the primary one at finally getting it means that they are able to now actually control the map instead of just trading back and forth.
Can we talk about the Charon's coin last pickup here for King Crab on this Oleron?
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, that
yes.
That's
yes, we can.
I like it. I like it.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, it's not that bad. You get some HP 5. Once you get it stacked, you get some movement speed. That's great. And Oleron doesn't care about much HP 5, in my opinion. You got your innate healing with your 3. And then if you talk about the movement speed side, he is a very stick your ground type of god. You are placing your ult and planting your foot down. I don't think he cares that much about movement speed.
But he
I
gets the
would.
20% pin, man.
It does give the 20% pen, but you've got 20% off Typhons, and you've got demonic grip for even more prot reduction. I would have liked to see Rod up to Hootie personally,
I mean,
or at
I would
least
have too.
something along those lines.
But I like the change up. I like when they keep me on my toes.
Yeah, speaking of keeping you on your toes, Mid Phoenix about to be lost here.
Yeah, and on the right side of the map, they do have a minion wave with them here as they get the right bird. But this is an interesting time. They're losing left side tier 2, but Zord actually switches it out, picks up average Mahome. They lose the mid bird, but it's the Titan under attack for Bradley, and it's 4 members here looking to shred it down. It's under half health. This could be a little bit of a problem. And now South Alabama is going to stay. They're looking to take it down. Can they confirm it is the question. You have the peel here, but it looks like this is going to be game number 2 in favor of South Alabama.
Well done, South Alabama, taking us to a game number 3. Really good idea to go for the end there, even if it was looking a little bit sketchy. Because, in my opinion, at the most that you would have gotten, even if you died, the enemy team, what? They get your mid-Phoenix? And the mid-Phoenix was already down. They had towers on both left and right side at that point. So there wasn't much of a threat at that point. Even if it went wrong, not much else happens. But if it goes right, you outright win the game. So I love that call. Really good job to just full commit there. Bravo to South Alabama, again, taking us to a game number 3.
Okay, we gotta talk about this because this is gonna be constant. You all have to know if I'm casting your games and you are not placing wards down, I'm gonna call you out. Okay? Release Kabrakan. 1 ward in a 32-minute game. Help me help you, man. Alright, we gotta get these wards out.
Yeah,
wards
I mean,
they're good. They give you vision.
yeah, having wards is really, really beneficial, especially if you can start to ward paths where Janus might be crossing over from with his ult. Catching his global rotation early can mean the difference between an entire team wipe. If their entire team goes through that portal, you are dead if you don't see it coming. So especially, even like, I can get behind getting your items early if you just back and you have exact gold for like a Jotuns or whatever you end up getting. I get it. However, especially as the game goes later and later, I need to see wards coming out because it will make the difference in so many fights, especially when you can get caught off guard around any corner against South Alabama's team.
I agree. I'm gonna mention it every game. It's my shtick, man. It's that and tablet stacks are my favorite thing to talk about, okay? Wards and tablet stacks. Y'all just got to know. If you buy tablet and you have like 3 stacks at 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about it. It's my job. But before we head over to a quick break before game number 3, I do want to mention that Albion Giants does have tournaments going on. If you ever experienced Smite God on God, Violence, and Duel, maybe you're a slow wave enjoyer and you like the minion spawn slower than the Fire Giant and Conquest, join us for Class Act Duel tournament on Saturday the 14th and a 5v5 Draft Conquest tournament on Sunday the 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Signups and check-ins are open until 4:50 p.m. the day of the tournament. In the tournament signups channel, you can go to the Albion Giant Discord and check out those tournaments. They are weekly. Go join it with you and some friends, or just go duel it up. You do you. But make sure to check them out, and we'll be back with you with game number 3 in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. It is Blaze McBain and Saffron on the cast. We do have to shout out our producer, Jeepney, who has been doing all the sick transitions, getting clips for us, and all that good stuff. And then our spectator, Maniac, who has been killing it for us as well this week. Before we head into game number 3, just want to remind everybody that this season of Smite is brought to you by Albion Giants League and the National Esports Collegiate Conference. This is the second time the two Titans have teamed up together to provide the best competition Collegiate Smite has to offer. If you're interested in joining future seasons or curious at other ways you can get involved, you can reach out to Majin, April, Nuke, in the AGLxNECC Discord. And that could be you're interested in competition, you're interested in helping on the production cast or spectating side. There's so many different things that you can come help out with. Make sure to reach out to them, or you can always shoot me a DM. I'll get your message to them as well. But before we head into game number 3 here in the picks and bans, Saffron, we're 2 games in. We didn't get to watch game 1 due to some technical difficulties with stasis mode. We know Bradley won game number 1. Game number 2, South Alabama comes back, takes game number 2. We're at a 1-1 now, and we're heading into game number 3. Are you expecting any special picks and bans going into this game?
Picks and bans, that is a rough one. I believe it's going to be Bradley having first pick. So I think they're going to try to get that Oleron. Oleron has been looking super hot all night tonight. Definitely a priority pick I expect to see. So if you're South Alabama, maybe you try and ban it, maybe not. We'll see. Alabama, I think you're going to want to ban the set again with its domineering performance in game number 1, and how much easier it looked to go against the Camazotz. Whether or not that's true, I'm not sure. I wasn't there, but it felt like, on my perspective, it looked a little bit easier to deal with. So probably get rid of the set, keep him on something he's maybe not as proficient with in a general sense, and yeah, just keep looking for more typical teamfight stuff if you're Alabama. I think that's where they definitely do well, is when they're fighting 5v5 and getting to that late game teamfight stage. If you are Bradley, I think you look for maybe a little bit more cohesion with your team comp. Last game, I think you had a lot of potential and momentum with some individual picks, but you had not enough to initiate or provide good lockdown or teamfight stuff. So even if you've got 5 people running at you, I mean, that is scary, but if you're able to last through that a little bit, you don't really get the kills all that often. So I think looking for a little bit more teamfight oriented stuff if you're Bradley.
I agree. I'm curious to see how this goes as we transition into picks and bans for game number 3. I can't imagine they're going to let us set through. That's all. Like we talked about it before game number 1. We didn't get to watch it, but Set is one of those gods I think can just kind of run a game if he has the team comp around him. So I do agree. I think it's going to have to be this Oleron first pick, or it's going to have to get banned away. One of the two. We'll have to see how that plays out when these picks and bans get started. But do you think they're going to keep banning the Kabrakan and Thor combo?
I feel like they've done it games 1 and games 2. I think they will stick with the Kabrakan and Thor and potentially change it up for the 3rd pick. But we will find out in just a second, starting with the Kabrakan ban out of Bradley. So there we go. We have an answer for one of them. And a Pele ban out of South Alabama. Now, it looks like we're waiting a second here for the 2nd ban. So maybe they try and keep Thor up. Maybe try and first pick it instead of ban it. We'll see.
I can't imagine they first pick Thor over Oleron, though. They have to pick Oleron, right?
I think they definitely could.
Or, I mean, there is the option of going this Chernobog. We haven't seen it because we didn't get to watch it in game number 1. It obviously was picked. It's going to be a Sung Wukong ban. They decided that was the problem they didn't want to deal with yet again, and it is going to be a set ban on the side of South Alabama. They said absolutely not. They will not be dealing with that.
If I'm Bradley, I consider banning Oleron here and going for Thor instead. It looks like they want to lean in that direction. They didn't just immediately ban it 1st and 2nd this time, so they're at least thinking about it and talking about what could happen if they do pick it first, or what happens if they do end up getting banned, if they leave the Oleron open, or if they ban it here, because that is always a possibility. So I imagine that's what's going on in their heads right now. South Alabama looking to probably get rid of one thing, or If I was them, I would leave in multiple things open so you can get kind of the scraps of it. Banning the Oleron, not a huge surprise. If I'm Bradley, I insta-lock in that Thor. Seems like they were playing for it, and they didn't even have to go into Oleron. I feel like that's the perfect scenario for Bradley right now.
And this Giannis being taken off the table, we've seen what it could do the past 2 games. It's been annoying, to say the least. So now, not going to have to see that game number 3. I do like the Olo ban here. And I was going to say, if Olo gets locked in again, I mean, we have to start talking about, like, Fenrir, right? Or things that have, like, CC immune ults that can just go in on him. But it is going to be the Thor locked in here for first pick. And that is a good flex pick. It can go solo. It can go jungle. We'll have to see how the draft ends up going here. But if you're South Alabama now, you know, what's going through your head? Is there a pick you want to look for here? Like, I'm leaning towards this Chernobog idea where I can match the global presence. Or maybe, like, we've seen Athena go fairly well thus far. Do you think those are the picks they should be looking for?
I feel like the Athena's kind of been the default. You get you don't get it first pick, but you get it the second pick. So we see the Chernobog. That is a definitely high priority pick right now, so it makes a lot of sense to go for South Alabama. If they didn't pick Chernobog and Bradley ended up getting Chernobog, I feel like Thor Chernobog would have been a super oppressive, just global presence around the map. So picking it, even if you don't necessarily want it yourself, just so your enemy doesn't get it, is a really good idea there. Now, whether or not they go the Athena, I'm not entirely sure. It seems like they're hesitating on it. Maybe they didn't quite like it as much as other picks. They go the Geb. Now that is actually, I think I love that. I'm not gonna lie. With how good of a performance it had game one, taking it away from Bradley, especially when they have that dive out of the Thor like they would have with the set, if they performed it the same way, just makes sure that they don't do what they want to do. At least their game plan has been interrupted.
Yeah, I always talk about when I'm talking to players about picks and bans that sometimes picking away a god you know they're comfortable with, like leaving it open and just taking it away, is just as good. And I don't mean the meta picks. Obviously, like, both teams would be happy to get a Chernobog.
Hmm.
But, like, Geb, we talked about it. Like, last game they got banned away. So, like, this time you're like, man, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take it instead. And you did the same job, right? But now you have a Geb on your side, and you don't have to worry about it. So this is one of those things that I think is a good pickup here. I like the Geb pick. I like the CC immunity that comes with it, the knock up, the Cataclysm. The rollout, there's just a lot of good about it. But on Bradley's side now, they're going to lock this Horus. I mean, this is now 2 semi-global ultimates along with a Soul. And Soul plays pretty well in the ADC right now, able to really, you go get Bastions in like 2 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, this is my worry about picking Chernobog so high up there, is I feel like you have to throw him in mid at this point, because Soul into Chernobog is a ridiculously strong matchup. Chernobog cannot box you. Chernobog does not have the lane pressure. You are able to get shield buff after shield buff, and you are still at least safe enough so you aren't overextending super often. It is a really, really good pick into Chernobog. So I worry for South Alabama a little bit right now in the duo lane. If we see Baba Yaga does get picked up, so that is definitely going mid. So Chernobog pretty much guaranteed locked into ADC unless for some reason it goes solo, but I highly doubt that.
Wow, put in disrespect on the Chernobog jungle. I can't believe it.
You got me there.
No, but I'm excited to see Baba Yaga picked up here. I think she is a very good mid laner, offers really good bursts, but also can kind of, gets that prophetic cloak and gets that little bit of tankiness that goes a long way. And you can really start playing Protect the Chernobog, which is a different comp that some people have a hard time running. But now we see bans out of South Alabama going to round it out with a Guan Yu and Kleena ban. They don't want to deal with either of those. On the side of Bradley, they say, let's get rid of Sasano and a Hercules. They don't want to be pulled in if they don't have to be. But now we're heading into the second phase of bans, and Athena's still up.
Athena is up. I think they are opting to not pick Athena, at least yet. I could still see them going Athena for the global presence side of Bradley, but I could see the hesitation from them as well, being that they have a Geb. Geb is really good into Athena. The cleanse on the taunt makes it really rough to actually get anything going. We say Surtur locked in from South Alabama. Now that is a spicy pick for what I assume is solo lane.
No, it's going jungle, baby.
It's going jungle? You think it's going jungle?
Oh, 100%. Like, if this
Alright.
god doesn't go jungle, I'm gonna be upset. And I might have just cast or cursed myself, and that's okay. But Surtur jungle is insane right now. They gave him a little bit of a buff, a previous patch, talking about, you know, some of his passive damage. And honestly, I'd been talking about, I was like, dude, Surtur is just like a little bit of a buff away from being back. We haven't really seen him since probably like 2 or 3 weeks after his release, and I'm so excited to see him back because this god can be absolutely obnoxious in team fights. He has an ult that's semi-global that can get him out or dive in. You have this Chernobog that has a massive slow. The team fight between these two could be insane, and you round that out with a possible Wheelish with all these knockups? Dude, sign me up.
Yeah, we're talking about Surtur jungle with an Wheelish with all these knockups, yeah? So Wheelix is going where? Solo?
You know, now it's Surtur solo. Okay, I hate it. I hate it. But this Surtur, I'd rather have seen a jungle.
That's fair.
I think Surtur jungle goes a much further way there. It's sad for me to see it go solo. It's still gonna do a good job. It's gonna be really tanky and annoying. But I have played against that pick multiple times out of the jungle, and it is just so irritating as an ADC and mid laner to deal with because it just dives and then you're like, okay, cool. Or you're about to kill him and he just flies off and you're like, great, I have these fire minions next to me. But it doesn't change the fact that South Alabama's team comp is kind of crazy. I mean, we see 3 global ultimates out of the side of Bradley, but on South Alabama's side, we see 2 global ultimates. And I doubt a Wheelish could go really hard here.
Now, one thing I feel like I have to talk about, because when I saw it locked in, I kind of did that, like, you know the emoji, the side eyes, where it's just those two white eyes looking to the side?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did on my screen. I'm just like, because that Jingwei getting locked in means that is probably Soul mid, and that completely nullifies what I was talking about earlier with the Chernobog versus Soul matchup. But one thing that I was worried about with Bradley University's team comp was their late game. They have so much pressure early game, but they fall off towards the end of the game. With that Jingwei, I don't mind it because Chernobog isn't necessarily this super pressure thing, so you're able to go the Jingwei without having to worry about losing lane that hard. And that allows you to get the late game presence that you are looking for without necessarily really sacrificing anything anywhere. So I'm really, really interested to see how this is going to pair out. Blaze, what do you think about game number 3?
I'm going to be honest, and this is going to sound crazy on my side. Okay, they locked a Jingwei, right? And now I'm assuming that the Wheelish got locked in. We don't know for sure because it was hovered. I'm assuming it got locked in there. I think it's going to be a bad time if I'm playing a Wheelish there. I mean, it's just the way of the road. And I personally am a Jingwei hater, and that's just the way of the road. I think that god is probably the worst ADC in the game. I know that it's a crit meta. I played her last week in comp and went 11-3. I still think that god is very underwhelming when it comes to the early game laning phase.
Yeah, I love Jingwei when I get past the 18-minute mark and can actually do something. The first 18 minutes are super boring, but when I get going, that engine revs, and the way I play Jingwei is I go up and I dash in and I strike really hard at a moment's notice, and that is my favorite thing about her. You play super safe until you're not. And I'm really, really like the fact that they have a safe ADC now who can burst fly in there at any given moment to clean up any kill that is needed. Kind of play in the back, keep themselves alive, and then just rush it. And I think that playstyle is actually going to go really well in the side of Bradley. So my vote, at least for game number 3, based off of team comps alone, is going to be for Bradley University.
Dude, I want to believe, but there's no Wheelish that's just going to wait, dude. She's going to knock herself up, and the Wheelish is just going to pull her and kill her on cooldown. I want to believe, because I look at Bradley's comp, and I'm about it, but I'm going South Alabama game number 3.
You know, I normally, if I probably wouldn't pick Jingwei into Wheelix, but for some reason, I have that faith this game. I don't think it's going to go that poorly. I think the Jingwei is going to absolutely pop off. But we will see as we enter game number 3. Now, let's look at some builds here. Everybody's cooking again, so that's a good start. We see nothing too spicy coming out yet. pretty much just the standard gilded arrow out of the ADCs. However, I have seen some Hunter's Cowl as well, so you know, kind of coming back and forth there a little bit. But yeah, nothing else too much.
Wait, you're not surprised by the Athena mid?
Wait.
Oh, that's no. It's gonna be no. Never mind.
Okay,
never mind.
no,
we
yeah, okay,
haven't
we're
switched
good.
people up yet. We haven't switched people
Yeah,
up.
that's
My
okay.
bad.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the Athena bit. I saw the Soul Jungle, and I was like, hold on a second, because anyways, regardless, yeah, no, so definitely gonna be really interesting to see how this pairs out. That's actually a Jingwei mid, though. It's not even a Jingwei ADC like I was thinking. It is Soul ADC Jingwei mid. That is a little bit of a turnaround from what I was expecting, but I don't necessarily hate it. They're going to pressure Duo side of the map, and then Athena can ult in wherever they need to go at any given moment. So that allows them to play outside of the Jingwei, and then when you want to, or you can play with the Jingwei, and then when you want to play somewhere else, you can instantly rotate over. So I don't necessarily mind this kind of toss-up that I wasn't expecting.
So I do have something to talk about on the Soul side. I play a lot of Soul. I enjoy playing her. I've recently dabbled in this ADC arrow build with her, and I'm not a huge fan of it over going like a more like ability attack speed build, like where you go a little bit hybrid between the two. I think you get to hit harder. I think it feels better overall. But we'll have to see how it pans out here. I do like Soul into this matchup either way. I think having that disapparate and be able to get away is quite nice. And I'm more concerned for release Kabrakan on this Jingwei than I was before, because at Jingwei and Duo, this Jetson is having to commit to Duo lane to get that gank. And now with it being in mid, it's a lot easier to make that rotation and get that knockup pool.
Yeah, for sure. Having the knockup ready to go there whenever you need to, that's going to be great. So if we look at the duo lane here, we've got Athena and Soul going for the pressure over the Chernobog and the Geb, getting a lot of XP. I imagine they're going to be going for shield buff soon, some clashing in mid as well, nothing too crazy happening. Looking for the aggression over the shield buff. I don't necessarily hate that fact, especially since the jungle isn't rotating quite yet, so you know you're not going to lose the shield buff just yet. Shell being popped from Geb. Interesting little aggression there.
This is one of the things that Soul does well that I mentioned earlier on, is like you can poke those bastions down early, and like as a reminder, those bastions give you a nice little bit of gold. It's like a 75 split between them. And these taunts are just going hard here. I mean, Zach is just on point with the Athena taunts. And this is going to be both the bastions down at... sorry, I said 2 minutes during picks and bans. It's going to be 2 minutes and 18 seconds. My bad. But Coolio Man picks up the first blood on the other side of the map in the solo lane in solo lane fashion, gets the solo.
Yeah, very nice solo out of the solo lane. Still seeing the aggression in the duo lane, watching this Athena dash in, taunt off cooldown. Athena, she loves to play aggressive in lane, but she can't do it alone. So when you have somebody to follow up, both on the wave and the taunts, she feels so much better than if you were to pick somebody like Jingwei, for example, who can't really do much off of anything she provides. So this duo lane has got to be feeling really good for Bradley so far. Now going back to the solo lane, Coolio Man getting a solo onto Zord is a huge deal. Horus getting a little bit of opportunity to spread his wings, if you want to say, versus a Surtur who is notoriously good at the early game. It has to feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zord, might be a death down, but does have a slight bit of XP lead and is looking to return the kill here. Oh my goodness. I was not going to be surprised if Zord just goes, hey, you want to see something cool, and goes up to the ult and just jumps down on him. I was kind of waiting for it. I was like, will he flex the ultimate potential here? And no, he's going to take the TKO over that instead and just going to clear the wave. This is a... Coolio dashes in? What a mad lad.
Yeah, this man is feeling himself. He got that solo kill, and he's like, I can do anything I want. I've got the confidence to do it. I am going in, and you are reacting to me. Now, the interesting thing, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to do this, but one thing, as someone who knows somebody who mained Horus solo a lot, shout out to Echo, if you... Anyways, Horus doesn't have to level his ult for quite a while. It doesn't provide that much of a benefit in solo lane. You can do some stuff with it. Normally you could get it around like level 9-10-ish area, and that way you provide enough benefit just throughout your clear and your stun potential providing a better neutral game over the, I guess, potential for a different type of blue bait blue buff invade. But just a small little thing to note there. If you're a Horus solo player, maybe try not leveling the ult for a while and see how it goes. Maybe level the ult too if that's what you want to do. That's perfectly fine. But anyways, moving past that, we see neutrals getting contested over here on the left side of the mid. Some fighting going on with the Thor while going on to the Geb, potentially going to find a kill. Jingwei going up in the air, Geb trying to roll up, but gets body blocked by the Jingwei. Thor going into the air too, going to dunk onto the Geb, and it looks like it's going to be potentially disengaged. We see rotation coming out of South Alabama as well. Thor trying to get away just out of the skin of his knees. Wheelix picks up the kill with the cats, and now we are on the retreat, the chase down for this Athena, trying to get the last bit of kill, and they probably will. I don't see a world.
No way they let her go. I mean, I think you just have to take this kill, yeah. I would say Jets is going to show up on the other side of this, make sure they cut off the lanes there. There is going to be a dash out, but the jump in by the Wheelish here should be able to finish it off. There's the knock-up, and the rest of the damage confirmed there. G-Force given the kill by his jungler, and that has to feel good here. And then on the backside of this, Crimson just goes in and just says, I don't care that you're an ADC. I'm going to roll out and hit you with some abilities anyway on the Geb. Big feels good there. And I do have to agree, when you're playing this Horus, you don't have to level the ultimate. I mean, the only time you want the ultimate is when you get close to 12 minutes, when you have to go over to, you know, Beacon. For now,
exactly.
Why don't you level an ability, get some extra damage in, or get a little bit extra healing in one of those abilities. That way, you're able to contest these waves a little bit better. You're able to do a solo fight a little bit better into this Surtur, because if this Surtur is able to, you know, get a kill or just start getting a little bit of an XP lead, it could be a bit of a problem, and all you had to do really was take some time to level your ultimate.
Yeah, no, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. You know, you get an extra point in tier 2 or whatever you wanted to level at that time, but it can make the difference a little bit. We see some more clashing into the solo lane. Zord versus Coolio Man, a classic Tell of Tales, Tales of Tell, whatever that phrase is. As we see Athena come in and try to engage onto Zord as well, but it looks like it's going to be a general disengage. I wonder if that was Athena trying to come in and make something happen, or if that was Coolio Man saying, hey, I might die, can you ult me to make sure I'm safe?
Well, this is going to be scary now in the solo lane, because now not only that, you have the Wheelish over here looking for a kill. The Panther hits, doesn't get the knock-up though, unfortunately, for Jetson. But there comes the ult in by Average Mahome. The wall was good, but that Thor ult's down. And this is a huge play now for South Alabama. They know they don't have to worry about the Thor coming out of the air. They can play for something else. It looked like you're going to get the G-Force Jetson rotation over. They decide to let it go and let them waste their time in dual lane and pick up farm elsewhere, which I'm a little bit surprised about here. I feel like they could have picked up a kill or two and then invaded if they so choose. But instead, they're going to pick up some camps, they're going to back off, and they're going to play a little bit more patiently.
Yeah, I was trying to scour the map and see what you could do as South Alabama right now while the Thor and Athena ults are down, because that is a lot of the rotational capabilities out of the way. But I might be speaking a little bit too soon, as we see Horus trying to still engage with
no
Thor
shot. Okay.
wrapping from the side. It's not over yet, though.
Zord's still here. He's going to take this 1-2 for now. Goes up in the air, and now we'll have to retreat with the ultimate. I was wondering when that was going to get channeled. I was like, there's no shot this man just takes a free death with his ult up. There's no way.
No, there wasn't. As we see in duo side, a triple collapse onto Sol, who is maybe just a little bit too pushed up there. I would be very surprised if she ends up getting out here. Chernobog going into the air as well. We see some rotations. Yeah.
Look at the lead. Like, I mean, it's a 2-level lead for looking in this game. Jetson picks up the kill over there, but I mean, the tower's down before 8 minutes into the game. The dual lane tower of South Alabama has been taken down, and that is huge. For two reasons. A, it just establishes a lead for looking for a boyfriend that gives some rotation potential out of the soul. But also, you now are able to farm a little bit safer if you're King Crab. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I typically don't like to take towers early on if the enemy ADC is so far pushed out that you think they can stall wave at their tier 2 instead. Because what ends up happening is you are stuck without any farm for quite a while if the enemy ADC decides to just not do anything. I mean, what can you get in the meantime? You can get a shield buff. They're most likely going to rotate for a purple buff defense, if that's going to be the case as well. So taking a tier 1 tower over in duo side is a little bit risky sometimes early on, but I like the fact that he's getting active and they're trying to provide pressure in the duo side of the map because that is such a good pressure matchup over there. Again, Soul into Chernobog is really, really good. Playing through the duo side to maybe get the Gold Fury going here soon. Now you can walk up to place some wards with that T1 tower down.
Yeah, as I say, I guess the big play here is now you can go and you can attempt a Gold Fury a lot easier if that tier 1 tower is down. But my bigger issue is, like, King Crab just walked up to the shield buff and got to take it for free.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I think that's just a matter of lack of wards at this point right now. If we look at the duo side of the map right now, there is 0 wards at all over there on either side. I know that South Alabama's wards...
A kill. We got a fight in mid. Nice beads out of G-Force here. Cataclysm comes through. They're going to look for release Kabrakan. The health bars are low. Zord comes in on the right side of the map, picks up a kill. King Crab comes flying in the mid lane, picks up a kill, and then AGLxNECC is gone as well. And a huge swing for South Alabama here in the mid lane at 10 minutes and 45 seconds. They could now go pull a Gold Fury if they so choose. They just have to make sure they can juggle it correctly, but it's a minute away from Beacon, and, you know, they're going to be able to contest that a lot better, but look at the positioning here out of looking for a boyfriend, and this Soul can confirm damage. G-Force is going to have to leap away, but the Jetson came over, and this is terrible for Bradley. They not only lose several members across the map, but now they lose a Gold Fury as King Crab falls to the Gold Fury.
Yeah, that fight was not good for the side of Bradley. Your entire win condition, at least at that point in the game, was your Soul, and now she is level 11 to the Chernobog's level 12. Chernobog going 2-1 and 4, now having a 6-kill participation already in 11.5 minutes, just showcasing why, even if he's not pressuring lane himself, he can be so strong with the rotational capabilities. Going to mid and then falling back to Gold Fury, it was just the cherry on top, the fact that Soul stepped up into the Gold Fury pit. Pulling that trigger just a little bit too early. They didn't full commit onto the Gold Fury, so when Soul stepped up into the area, they just changed their focus and went right back to it afterwards. Beacon now spawning means that's going to be the next focal point. South Alabama already in position to fight for it.
Bradley's invading a purple buff, which I believe they did get to steal here, but they've given up the beacon for a purple buff, and I'm not sure about that decision-making there. I feel like Digiant Beacon's a little bit more important here, but they are trying to slow down this Chernobog. And this is one of the situations we brought up earlier that if you're an ADC, I know that I play ADC mostly, and I refuse to take a tower pre-10 minutes. I will literally go farm elsewhere on the map. I'll rotate to mid if I have to, but I am not going to take that tower down because now we're seeing the repercussions of that. That 2-level lead that Soul had is now gone. It's a level deficit to the Chernobog. And if you're a Chernobog player and you're like, hey, I don't need my ult right now and you want some free assist gold, just wait for a team fight that you're not out to break out and, you know, ult into one of the parts of it, and then you get assists on the other side. I'm just saying, get your free gold. Be smart about it, as a mid lane fight does break out here. Cataclysm is used, and AGLxNECC is eating a lot of damage here, and then King Crab comes flying in. Oh, Average Mahome taken down, and the Athena's in trouble too. This is absolutely devastating to Bradley here. Now the mid lane tier 1 under attack. They're going to look for release Kabrakan as well, having to play safely here, but the Awilish is taking tower shots, so maybe you're not under too much duress if you're released Kabrakan, but you do have 4 members of South Alabama staring you down, wanting to take your tower, and they're going to do so, I'd assume. Or not. They're just going to let it go.
I'm very surprised that they're not going for Pyromancer immediately after that fight. I don't know what they're... Okay, they're starting to rotate to it now, but it feels a little awkward that it wasn't just an immediate rotation, but I guess they're just trying to hunt this Soul down, keep her down, make sure she can't really do much on the map outside of what she's already done. Geb finally found her before she finished backing. It's the knockup.
Oh, the blink in by Jetson, but look who's here. Average Mahone rotates in, but the beads lasted long enough to outlive the wall, but the dunk's gonna come in. The dunk is off the mark, and Average Mahone is chasing down a kill. Will it be found? Finally picked up by Looking for a Boyfriend, and now Release Kabrakan dashes in, looking for that damage, looking for a way in, picks up Crimson, and it could be trouble for the Baba Yaga in the mid lane. One return kill from G-Force on to Average Mahomes. Will do the work is needed, but there is a wave pushing up. You do have to be careful. These are two ADCs that can shred down a tower. Aegis is used by G-Force. G-Force is going to live to see another day, unlike the tier 1 tower in the mid lane that will fall in favor of Bradley.
That could not have gone too much better for the side of Bradley. Bradley really stepped it up there for that fight. South Alabama, in particular, Crimson caught Looking for a Boyfriend off guard when he was backing. The next thing you know, AGLx is trying to rotate and catch the soul as well during that fight, but the Thor came out of base and turned the fight that they were already weak health bars off, so it was kind of this back and forth. Okay. Athena's coming though. This could still be a kill on both sides.
Yeah, it's a kill on Coolio. I mean, yes, Athena's coming to watch it happen. Unfortunate. Oh no.
As we see positioning around the Oni Fury, at least South Alabama about to take this pretty much with no contention. Yeah, my original point being they took the engage onto South Alabama and it ended up going wrong once they realized that they were actually the ones caught off guard. Again, Oni Fury going South Alabama's way. There's now about a 1k gold lead inside of South Alabama. Pretty good spot to be, but I still got some... Surtur's just hitting so hard. What even is this?
That's what I was talking about, dude. That's what I'm saying. I thought he was going jungle because he does stuff like this, and that's what you're doing. Like, you're playing the game, and you're like, what is this? That's legitimately something that gets said when you're playing against Surtur jungle. Fortunately for them, it's a tanky Surtur. I don't know that that's really that fortunate, but he's not killing you as fast. But now Coolio Man is in. Yeah, what I said earlier. Oh no, the gray screen gonna be revisited here by Coolio Man as Crimson picks up the kill. But it's all the members of South Alabama raining in on top of Bradley. They are looking to try to pick up more here. The Jigway has to fly away, and now the question is, can the Athena get away? The answer is no. Release Kabrakan gets picked up as well, and this is just all sorts of bad on the sides of Bradley. The only good news is Looking for a Boyfriend is looking for a tier 2 tower on the left-hand side as Average Mahone falls down as well. It's a 4 for nothing, and a Fire Giant's going to be on the way at 17 minutes into the game.
Okay, so what happened there? I'm still processing in my own head at this point because, wow, that was chaos. A lot of fighting for a lot of nothing going Bradley's way, and we tried to pick up the fire here, but it looks like they're just too low to do it. They're not comfortable enough. They say, we'll reset, we'll come back after we get our items. But yeah, no, in that fight, a lot of things were happening there. And at this point, I mean, Jingwei and Sol are both level 17 compared to 15 and 16 on the enemy side. So they at least got some level leads. It's not the worst for Bradley. However, they are lacking currently in the frontline department. 17 versus 15 inside of Surtur. 17 versus 14 inside of AGLx. There is some hard dive. So it's going to be the clash of backline versus frontline between Bradley and South Alabama in these next fights.
And the one thing I like that we're seeing right now is this fail not out of the Chernobog. This is my favorite build right now, is you go Devos, you go Xe. Sometimes you'll see people go Silver Branch if you have the attack speed stats to do it, and you go fail not. I'm assuming we're going to see a dominance here. That could be interchanged with Kins and then into a Deathbringer. It's going to go hard, it's going to hit hard, and it's going to get real scary on the side of Bradley once that build comes fully online. Nice wall here by Average Mahone to bail out his ADC, but for how long is the question, because Chernobog could come raining in, is going to, but it's going to be in the mid lane on top of the Horus. Coolio Man going to get aggressed upon, but they're just wanting to set up a Pyromancer.
Pyromancer is indeed getting set up for on both sides. It is going to be a 5v5, and it's actually going to be a 4v5 fight because Surtur is still in the solo lane. So if you know that Surtur is over there, I would start taking this fight if I am Bradley. And it looks like they are trying to start it up here.
This is scary. I mean, the way they're positioning is they got lucky that the Cataclysm didn't come through. Average Mahone dunks in. The Cataclysm holds off the Horus for now, but here it comes, raining down. The Surtur is there. AGLxNECC picks up the first kill for Bradley. They're looking for more. Can they get G-Force? They do. Coolio Man picks it up and now this is going Bradley's way very, very quickly. Luckily, Bradley goes after Zord, and Zord is trying to find a place to back as you have your carry jungle getting to walk away, but this is devastating for Alabama. You had almost, you know, a 5,000 gold lead. It's now just going to become nullified as the Pyromancer is pulled, and they could look for more here. I expect them to pull fire, and it looks like that's the next thing on the menu.
Next thing on the menu, indeed, they are starting to cook. They all got their cooked items online. Like, that is the most important factor here, obviously, as we see rotations coming out of South Alabama, trying to get there in time. TP coming out of Surtur. They won't get there in time, but they're still looking for the engage.
Yeah, but this fight is huge. South Alabama takes one Fire Giant away. They're looking for more. The Holy Assault's being channeled, but will it buy him enough time? I'm not so sure. Coolio Man being aggressed upon. Average Mahomes standing back, looking for someone to wall off to help peel. The dash is good, and now it's where is the Surtur going to land? He's going to land in the back line towards your ADC. The beads are popped. They're looking for more. They're not scared of this Fire Giant. In fact, they want to fight it off, and they say, hey, we're going to back up for just a minute, wait for this wave to push up. But man, that was a scary time for Bradley, because there is a potential that they lost Fire Giant on more than one person.
Yeah, I mean, losing Fire Giant on your ADC, and maybe not the biggest deal 20 minutes in, because it's not EFG, so you're not losing it on the most important person, but it is still a very impactful person losing Fire Giants. Past that, getting out was incredibly well done. Coolio Man always watching for Average Mahoon, making sure that he can teleport out at a moment's notice. Mahoon also looking and making sure that he's providing that dash out. Really good synergy between the two of them. I could see the call-outs happening in real time. Help me, give me a TP out, give me a TP out. And it looked like he looked back and did it multiple times. It's very well done out of those two. Now, the disengage maybe wasn't the most clean in the world, but they did get it to happen, and they are engaging in duo side here, trying to get them caught off.
And Average Mahomes eats a lot of damage there. This is good for South Alabama. This gives them a way into the fight. It also gives them a way to look at Gold Fury here and secure an objective for themselves. They no longer have to worry about the Thor. They know the Soul's a little bit backed off. They just need to make sure they have the vision on the rest of the team. Release Kabrakan is walking up on this Jingwei now. Gonna look to pump out some damage, but if you haven't noticed, the Jingwei hasn't bought any crit as of yet, so you're not going to be raining down those typical crit numbers you'd see at this point in the game. For now, it's just Exekin's Dom, and we're just going to have to wait for something to happen later on that front with the arrow, and I'm assuming a Deathbringer at the end. But now the fight breaking out slowly but surely over a Gold Fury. A little bit surprising that Bradley doesn't want to push a different objective here, but they are going to fight over it. And it's a dash in by Coolio Man. They're looking for the damage on the backside. Meanwhile, the Surtur is just 1v1ing the Jingwei, but Average Mahomes picks up the first kill of the fight. And now it's trouble for South Alabama. They're having to walk away. Coolio Man picks up the kill on the Surtur. It's a 2-for-0 trade, and they're looking for more. They're trying to say, hey, can we get a Gold Fury? Can we possibly get a Deicide as well? Cataclysm hopefully coming through soon if it hasn't already been used. Sadly, it has. And now, on the backside of this fight, they're going to commit to the Gold Fury. They're going to get it. Coolio Man's going to get another kill. It's 4 down on the side of South Alabama. Talk about a fight getting turned on top of its head. You thought it was going to go your way, and suddenly it didn't. Now, it's a Gold Fury. It's a Stygian Beacon. It's a Tier 2 tower, and possibly more.
Possibly more indeed, as they start to push down the mid lane, while Soul is pushing down left lane as well. I expect to see a potential Horror Assault going into left lane after this Mid Phoenix goes down, but we shall see in just a couple seconds. Mid Phoenix does fall in the way of Bradley. They are in a beautiful spot immediately after that fight. Fire Giant providing so much of a benefit there.
Talk about a gold swing, too. I mean, you're talking about 3k down, and now they're 6k up. Now they're fighting. They're chasing this down. They say, you want our Phoenixes, we're going to make you pay. And they're looking for the Jingwei. Release Kabrakan, standing his ground, fighting the Surtur. Will it cost him his life? It will. Zordnal picks up the kill, but for what? He dies as well. And they have 2 ADCs. You have to worry about the Soul as well. King Crab is gone. It's a double kill for looking for a boyfriend. They're looking for more. The Awilish is under fire. Jetson has to jump away, but is it going to be enough? Can they get away? Average Mahomes picks up the kill on G-Force. This is looking all Bradley, if you ask me. Fortunately, for the side of South Alabama, the Titans are marching down the solo side of the map, so they can't end the game at this moment. It's a double kill for Average Mahomes, but now it's a stall of the Titans for Bradley.
That could have been game if Titans didn't leave right as they did. That is something I try to think about when I'm getting ready to push down some Phoenixes, is it even worth to take this beacon right now? Because if it goes well, the Titan will be gone. So sometimes I actually want to leave that beacon up if I know that there's a potential to end the game off this push. But the fact that they took it and the Titans are now pushing down lane, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, you still get the momentum to now push down right after you got the left and mid Phoenixes. It could have been game. But now at least you're taking the long route, you're going slower, you're pacing yourself, you're going to go for one last final push. Probably let the Titan push the T1, T2s alone while you set it for Fire Giant to get ready for that last fight that is most likely coming. If it doesn't, though, and South Alabama is able to keep pressuring back just enough to stall out the game, get maybe 1 or 2 Phoenixes up again, they're still in a good spot to keep this game in their own hands as well.
They do have fire minions running into their base right now. I mean, you know, you have King Crab is going to be back there able to deal with it. Could ult in. Instead, just walks past the fire minions and now running towards the Fire Giant. Fire Giant's pulled. Fire Giant's gone. It's Bradley all over it, and King Crab does ult in. They're looking to take this fight to South Alabama if they can. Looking for a boyfriend, picks up 1, looking for more. We saw what happened last team fight, was able to shred. AGLxNECC picks up King Crab, and this is devastating for South Alabama. They decide to step up. They said, hey, maybe we can defend this Fire Giant. It's fire minions pouring into the base as Zord goes back and decides to defend, and Jets on Jordan falls next. It's a double kill for the support of Bradley, and the Titans marching down the remaining Phoenix of South Alabama in game number 3. This set is going to be game and match as they walk in, and the Titan and Fire Minions are going to help finish it off.
What a game to showcase how well momentum can go in either direction. South Alabama, I mean, I guess the game's not over yet. They are still fighting to take down this Titan, and it still could go way to South Alabama. It's not just going to be done yet. Average Mahoon getting a lot of damage off, but it is going to be game number 3 inside of Bradley University, going 2-1 in week number 1 of the Collegiate AGL.
What a great set, honestly. I mean, like, you have just a swinging of back and forth. You talked about momentum there. It obviously played a role, especially for Bradley. You're down, you're able to stall it out, you're able to have some patience, and then you bring it back. And not only do you bring it back, you swing it back. I mean, it came back swinging. It wasn't just this like, hey, we're going to trickle back in. We're going to come in and we're going to take that lead back and we're going to make it ours. As we look at the in-game stats here, what impressed you the most in game number 3?
Game number 3, the thing that impressed me the most, that is a good question. I think it has to go to Release Cabrakan and the way he was able to manipulate the Jingwei. And I know that's not even talking about how I hyped it up in the very beginning, because I thought that was going ADC to begin with. What I liked about Release Cabrakan's Jingwei is he was able to stall the early mid game without losing too much, which is really hard to do as a Jingwei. And then, once he got enough online, he didn't try to push his luck too quickly, but the moment he was able to get his crit online, and the moment he had the Kins and the Pen online, he pushed his, not necessarily lead, but his spike really, really hard, and played the pick extremely well. Also, this is just something I noticed, 630 gold per minute on both ADC and mid, that's gotta feel good.
Yeah, you know what doesn't feel good? 0 wards out of your ADC. That's where I'm at. I said it before, I'll say it again. You got a ward. I'm glad it worked out for you this game, but 0 wards out of ADC is wild to me. That is a wild concept. But as we head out of here for the evening, I want to give a shout out to Saffron here as chair number 2. Appreciate you coming on the cast with me tonight. I know it was a little bit last minute, but you're out here, you killed it. And I got to give shout outs to Jeepney on production and Maniac, our spectator. And on our way out of here, just as a reminder, have you experienced Smite God, On God, Violence, and Duel? Maybe you're a slow wave enjoyer and like the minions spawn slower than the Fire Giant and Conquest. Join us for a Class Act Duel tournament on Saturday the 14th and a 5v5 Draft Conquest tournament on Sunday the 15th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Signups and check-ins are open until 4:50 p.m. the day of the tournament. In our tournament signups channel, you can check out the Albion Giants Discord to join those. Every week, there are new tournaments hosted there. Check them out. We appreciate everybody coming and tuning in tonight. We appreciate everybody that, participates in the league. You make it fun for us. You give us something to cast. and we'll see you on the flip side.